for your everyday life, and this time I have a special guest with me today, Candy. How you doing?
What's up, Twiggy? What's good? I'm doing great today. I'm over
Hell yeah,
here chilling
yeah,
in a
yeah. Where you
hotel
at right
room.
now?
I am in Annapolis, Maryland, right on the Annapolis Bay, like by the Naval Academy.
Oh, that's awesome. What the hell are you doing so far out there?
Well, my husband's military. He's in the Navy, so he
Okay.
has to drill here. Therefore, he drills, and the Navy puts me up in a hotel while he's at work.
Is it at least a nice one?
Oh, it's really nice. We're at the Hilton.
Oh, the hell! Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice. They finally came through. The Navy did what they were supposed to do. And it really irritated me that this whole time that we've been married, which is almost 2 years now, okay, this
Mhm.
entire time, every single month, he's had to do this drill. So this is about what, almost 24 months. And out of 24 months, they were not able to do this right here that they're doing now. Like, this is like the second time that they've actually done what they were supposed to do. And I think it all goes down like back to the government, back to whoever is in charge and incompetent people. So what really
Yeah.
grinds your gears? Because what grinds my gears is incompetent people at their jobs. And that's why
Well,
I'm finally here.
I have to digress just for a split second. I'm sorry for any scratching that you hear. I have a shit ton of hair on my microphone, and it is driving me fucking nuts. So
I can't hear it.
I'm pretty sure there's somebody out here. Come on, okay. Yeah, I'm like picking out little flakes of hair off of my little microphone pad here, um, but yeah, you were saying it's basically incompetence is what you
Yeah.
hate.
I really can't. I hate incompetence. It really pisses me off. Like when people have a job, like I don't care what you look like. I don't care if you're a doctor or a surgeon and you got tattoos all over your body. At least you know how to do your job, right?
Right.
But if it's somebody that comes off and they have like the whole image, but they don't know how to do their job, that pisses me off so much.
What do you mean image?
So certain people like in the military, okay, have a whole image to uphold and they have to look good for the people that are above them,
So they're
okay?
fronting.
And so
So they're fronting basically.
yes. They're basically fronting. A lot of people, they got into the military and they were given an assignment. They were given a job, like this is going to be your job. And a
Right.
lot of people in the military, their job is to put up veterans and other military for housing when they're on drill. Now,
Right.
those people, whoever was in charge in this area, was not doing their job. They were extremely incompetent because we have had to come out of our pocket beforehand, like to put us up for the Navy and stuff, for him going to drill. We are out of state, so we've had to come out of our pockets for hotel rooms, for food, for gas money to get there and everything. And then as soon as he gets paid off drill, all that money is now gone. That's not how it was supposed to be. Like the only reason that happened is because somebody was incompetent and somebody did not do their job. And their
Right.
job was to go through this paperwork and be like, okay, they can't afford housing. He can't afford gas. He can't afford this. He's literally working off of this drill payment. So we need to give him berthing, which is housing and other, amenities.
Right.
So it really pissed me off that like so many people there was like a whole team of people were just not communicating with each other, not filling out or reading through the paperwork that they were supposed to. And therefore we got shit on. Like, hey, that's your whole job. Your whole job is to read through this paperwork. And you didn't do it. Like, fuck you. You're incompetent as fuck. How did you get in here?
Right.
I don't like it. I hate it. It
Yeah,
really pisses me off. People.
I can understand that. I really don't want to say this phrase because it wasn't a wise man that told me this, but somebody told me something that kind of stuck with me. The lazy man works the hardest.
You know what? That makes sense. That makes more sense because work smarter, not harder. That's just another way of saying it.
Pretty much. And there's a couple of different. This part of the segment wasn't actually intended for the show, but I guess we're getting included anyway. But anyway, basically, what that segment, what I just said there means is two different things. If you're so fucking lazy that you don't want to do something, then it's just so daunting It's so boring. It's so painstaking. Oh my God, I don't want to do it. The time is dragging on. If you shut up and do the work, then you wouldn't be thinking about the time it takes to put into it.
Right? Instead of complaining, you could have spent all that time actually getting it done.
Right.
I feel you. Exactly. And that's the only reason why I feel like we have never been in, well, I said like maybe one other time they finally put us up, but all the other times they never put us in a hotel. And I feel like it was because of what you're saying, because they were too busy complaining and actually not doing it. Like all they had to do was freaking do it.
And then there are the half-assers, the ones that will do the job just to get their superior to shut the fuck up, but they won't do it right because they don't want to do the work. And then they have to complain because they have to go back and do it again because they didn't do it right the first time.
Exactly. And that is actually why my husband is late coming home right now. He actually just sent me a text about he has paperwork to do at the NOSC on base right now. And because somebody actually did not, they took all this time out, like complaining, and then they just did it just to do it, but they didn't do it right. And so now he had to go back, and then they had to go back, and they're giving him an attitude about it. Like, dude, all you had to do was do your job right, and we wouldn't be here.
Okay, you see these teeth right here? You see all of them? They're not mine.
Did you collect them?
That's incriminating information, and I need a lawyer to answer.
Well, I actually put it in a song that I'm writing right now. I said something along the lines of, I'll make a chain out of Chief Keef's teeth. Oh, no, I'll make a chain out of Chief's teeth. Now I got gold. Like, and I kind of meant that. I sort of meant that. I didn't mean that as a stab to him. Like, nigga, I will knock your teeth out and make a necklace out of them. Come for me.
Right.
But believe it or not, my mom is friends with his mom, so I hope he sees this. He actually is like, you know, kind of close to the family, and I don't like to brag about it. I'm actually embarrassed about it.
Never be embarrassed about your life.
I'm embarrassed that my mom is like really tight with Chief Keef, like to the point of like almost family.
And that actually brings me to the topic of today's episode. Really, we had a conversation earlier in the chat, if you remember.
Right.
We were talking about inner demons.
Yes.
Why do you think we have them?
Entertainments?
Inner demons.
Inner demons, right. Like inner demons, like sometimes it kind of splits into like a separate personality. It's like a person that you don't even know just comes out of you. Like, I didn't know that was there. What is up with this inner demon? Yeah. I have no idea why we have them, but I would like to speculate maybe that it could be because of the, like, you know, how they say when it comes to like psychological shit. I know we watch a lot of psychological thriller horror movies. So I would like to tie back to that, like how it kind of is like maybe you're hiding something or your brain is trying to fix something or hide or shield you from something that was so traumatic, and it creates this other person like that fights it for you. And maybe that is what you would call your inner demon, but it's actually kind of like a separate personality. It ends up becoming a separate personality. And sometimes, like, if you don't control it, it can take you over, it can become you. And it takes a lot of time to be able to separate those demons from who you really are. Most definitely, I have that issue on a daily basis being a Gemini. My evil twin comes out to play at least 5 times a day. Like, at least. I know I just hold up 10 fingers. But that was 5 for me and 5 for her. It's 5 for me and 5 for her, so 5.
Kind of like the movie Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yo, actually, that movie was kind of chill. I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty chill movie.
Now, this is my philosophy on it. Sort of, our demons. I mean, everybody can agree with this on some level or another. Is actually something that is derived from not even childhood trauma, but just past traumas in general.
So it's a PTSD symptom.
It is, yes. It's a form of
Symptom?
PTSD that hasn't been acknowledged.
Yeah, this is definitely, I believe you're right. This could be having a split personality disorder or having like these inner demons. Maybe you don't have the actual disorder. Maybe you just have the feeling of it. Like the inner demon thing, I think is definitely could be a symptom of PTSD.
Now,
for sure.
I know somebody who is clinically diagnosed with multiple personality disorder. She's got 2 personalities aside from her everyday life. So technically, I guess you could say she has 3.
Yeah, I'm the same.
One, there's her, very, very laid back, very quiet, very recluse. And then there's another one who is just consistently on the attack. And then you have another one who is very spoiling, very loving, and sort of like very over motherly.
Yeah, okay.
And she herself does not recognize any of the other 2. And there was an incident where after she was dropped off at home, she snapped into one of her other personalities, smashed everything in her house, went to bed the next day, called up her daughter and said, "What the fuck happened to my house?" She has no memory of this doing it herself. And her daughter had to tell her it was you.
So listen, that is either one of 2 things. Now listen, it may not be really just a disorder. It may not even be a disorder. That was the first thing I was going to say. Either number 1, it's a disorder, or number 2. Number 1, it's a disorder, but it may not be. Number 2, I've seen it happen every single day in my life because I'm a juggalo and I'm on these underground streets every fucking day. I've been in psych wards, in and out of psych wards, been in jail, in and out of jail. And I've been like in the luxury lap of luxury, in and out. I've been from the lowest to the lowest, the top of the top. I've seen it all. So now what I'm telling you is that this lady that may have done this could possibly just have like these inner demons like you were talking about. And maybe, just maybe, they snap when she uses other substances.
She doesn't use anything. She
doesn't drink.
Nope.
She doesn't use weed, alcohol.
Cigarettes. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Cigarettes only.
Well, now that leads me to another conclusion. That because I was going off the fact that like I have this best friend who is like the sweetest person, but when she drinks, she is not herself. And like when she does drugs, like I got her off drugs. She's not herself when she's on drugs. She's like, I felt like when she was on drugs that I lost my best friend, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was making that conclusion off of. So now I'm like, okay, well, it's not that. What could it be? Well, maybe, just maybe, she really has an untreated disorder then.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe she just felt like you and I, and she had nobody to talk to for so long, for years upon years and decades, that it turned into a disorder.
Yeah,
because it
documented to happen.
Yeah, like everybody feels like this. This is not like a weird thing. Everybody goes through this. Everybody feels like I'm different this day than I am the next day. And like Alice in Wonderland, if you go back and watch that movie, she teaches us this.
Shit.
Yeah, they teach us this throughout the movie and the book, which I read, and I think that was my senior project report for my associate's degree in college.
Yeah, I never would have made that reference. That's a nice fucking reference.
Because she says, and I quote, "I'm not the same person that I was when I woke up this morning. I feel a bit smaller."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like
that is totally relatable.
You could totally metaphoric that bitch all the way around.
Yeah.
Like you can like it means everything. It means that like everybody goes through this. Everybody feels like, oh, I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, or I'm not the same person that I was yesterday. Everybody goes through this. But the difference is if they have nobody to talk to and no way to get that out and they bottle shit up like I do, they really will turn crazy. They'll go mad. They really will, like the Mad Hatter did. They really will become crazy, and it will develop into a disorder and then once they finally get help, they'll say, this is what the psychiatrist will say, this is a disorder that has gone on untreated for so long that there's no help. That's what they'll say.
Yeah.
So my heart goes out to this poor lady. I know you don't believe in God, but I do, so I'll pray for her and hopefully something will happen because I believe push. Keep pushing. Pray until something happens. Push.
Well, they finally there is a bit of a happy ending for her. They finally had a breakthrough with her because she in her darkest moment was actually recently. She was well, if I actually say the situation, we're getting really pro. She was doing things she really wasn't supposed to be doing, and then she would call the emergency hotline and call them and bring them back. And she was doing this literally all day long until they finally took her to the wacko basket. But they didn't take her to the normal place that they usually do. They took her someplace out of state, and they showed her all of this stuff that's been going on for the past years and said, this has been you. Everything that you have been denying, this is you, documented on camera. Look at me and tell me that's not you on camera.
That's a horrible way to shock somebody back to reality. There's a right way and a wrong way to do things.
Well, they had no other choice. She wouldn't keep up on the medication. She wouldn't listen to the doctors. She wouldn't go to the therapist. She kept believing that there was nothing wrong with her. She kept fighting everybody on it, that there was absolutely nothing wrong with her until they finally sat her ass down and said, you said this. You did this. This is you on camera. You cannot say this isn't you.
One side of me wants to be like, yo, I agree with the doctors. My evil twin wants to agree with the doctors right now. She's like, yeah, bitch, it was you. Yeah, bitch, that was you because I did it. I did that to somebody. What you're saying right now, I did do that to somebody, but I feel horrible about it. But I had to because there was no other way to get them to snap back to reality. But me right now, listening to this is like, damn, like I feel really bad for that lady. And I feel like that's like, it's kind of her fault, like, but we should be way more understanding.
But like I said, it was because of that moment we actually finally had a breakthrough. She's keeping up on the medication. She's seeing the doctors. Yes. And
perfect.
They told her from this point forward, if you do not do what you are supposed to, you will be permanently admitted.
Yeah, right. No, that makes sense then. Like if she wasn't like, and that's where my evil twin she's taking over right now. All right, go ahead, Gemini. Okay. So if a bitch don't want to listen to fucking like instructions and directions, like, hey, we've gone over this with you multiple times already. We've told you again and again and again. We've showed you again and again and again. We've given you every chance we can. Listen, there's nothing more we could do for the guy. He made his bed. Now he can lay in it.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it is.
So, like, my heart goes out to her, and I'll pray for her. But at the same time, I'm like, yo, like, you need to realize there's people telling you shit that's going on, and like, snap out of it, bitch. Like, get with the picture. Mm-hmm. Get with the fucking picture. At least I can say for me, for my own personal demons, I have tried everything. I tried the therapy. I've been to psych wards. I went to jail. I've tried medication after medication after medication. Oh my God, I really think it fried half my brain. I'm surprised that I'm still getting A's in college. I really am. I'm shocked. I'm shocked because I quit all my medication at the beginning of 2019. I told my doctors though that I'm trading out. I talked to my doctors and my therapist and I told them I'm trading out my medication for marijuana. I'm trading out these pills for medical marijuana.
And you're doing so much better, aren't you?
How do I look?
You look great. You look absolutely
all right
amazing.
then. All right then. There we go. You shouldn't see me last year. I was nothing to look at. I was. Oof.
And I can tell you why that is. Mind over matter. Everybody's always so fixated on taking these medications. Oh, there's a pill for this. 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 And all of these different medications, the fucking side effect is suicidal thoughts or actions.
Which I did. I did it, and I didn't know why I was doing it.
Explain to me how suicidal thoughts or actions are an acceptable side effect for an anti-suicidal medication.
This is why, actually, I did inquire about that because I was too smart. That was actually listed in my chart. Like I was, if you ever seen this movie, Girl Interrupted,
Yes.
It's a really great. And if you saw the scene where they all go into the doctor's office and read each other's charts.
Yes.
And they read this girl's chart, the Winona Ryder, she plays the main role, and that's how I felt when I was in there. Mm-hmm. They read her chart and they said she is very knowledgeable. She is way too knowledgeable about her disease to the point where we cannot fix her anymore. Basically, in layman's terms, that's what they said. Yeah. I can't say it exactly how they said it, but they said
I know what you're talking about, though, because they were
she's
too
knowledgeable. Right. So I was too knowledgeable. Like, I was so knowledgeable about my own fucking mental illness that I was like, yo, like, okay, suicidal thoughts are a side effect. So I went to my therapist and my psychiatrist, and I had them together in the same room. And I said, listen, I think we all need to talk about this together, because I don't trust anybody. So I don't trust talking to my therapist and hoping she tells my psychiatrist the same thing.
Yeah.
No, I don't trust that. So I asked them to both be in the same room, and they did it for me. And so I said, listen, I would like to take myself off of my medication. I would like to discontinue medication. I'll go with therapy only for 2 months so you can keep track of how I'm doing on the medical marijuana. Mm-hmm. And so they finally decided to do that, and they asked me why. And I said, this is why. The reason why is because the symptom is suicidal thoughts. And I said, why is it okay for you to prescribe me something when I've been hospitalized for suicidal? Like, I've been hospitalized multiple times for suicide. Why do you think it's okay to prescribe me medications where the symptom is suicidal thoughts? Also, I was in jail. If I was ever going to commit suicide, I think that was the place I would have done it. Why do you think it would be okay to keep me on this medication that says symptom suicidal thoughts and then send me to jail and then say we cannot continue your medication throughout jail? That's not okay. Why? And you know what they said? This is what they said. This is what she told me. She said, well, the reason why is because even though it's labeled as a symptom of suicidal thoughts, we believe that with the symptom of suicidal thoughts, as long as you continue therapy, we can either talk you out of those suicidal thoughts, or we can prescribe you in what did they say? It was additional, or like I forget the word. That means it goes along with, like, this plus
like
this.
Like an assistive substance.
Right.
Supplement.
So as like an additive or assistant supplement to go with my depressive medication, like Abilify. Okay, so I was on that once. I was on
it, but yeah, that's what I say to that.
Yeah, I know, right? I hated that shit. I was on Seroquel and Abilify and a regular depressive medication at the same time. Mm. And they thought that this was okay to prescribe to me. And they said that it's okay to prescribe you medications with suicidal thoughts because, and this is how I interpret it, because it basically keeps you coming back to us.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's all it is.
There's a whole conspiracy behind that. It's for a completely different show, though.
It's a cycle to breed in more money. It's like basically the same thing as we're going to make you sick so that you come to the hospital, and then we're going to make you feel better for a second.
Effect.
Right. It's like, yeah, exactly. Like they're going to make us think we're sick in order to treat us. And then when we really get sick, then we come back so they can really treat us. And now we're stuck.
If you stare into the void long enough, eventually it will stare into you. But for those who are bold enough to enter it, never walk out untainted. Most will end up becoming a part of it. But for those who are strong enough to leave, never walk out unscathed. Because in the end, you're only gonna leave a part of yourself behind anyway.
I love that. I feel like I know where that's from, though.
That is what I think about when it comes to not controlling your actions. When you go through that trauma and you know that you're fucked up, you have to force yourself into a mindset where you have to pay attention to everything your body does. You have to pay attention to every step, every word, every thought, every action, even if you sleep, record yourself, because you don't know what you're doing.
Yo, I have. And like, because my husband told me that I do some crazy shit in my sleep. My mom has told me the same thing. I've had sleepovers with other juggalettes and homies and good friends that I know about. And I've had sleepovers at their house and they said the same thing. And after a while, like at first I was like, no way, I don't do shit when I sleep. But after a while, I was like, wait a minute. If they're all saying the same thing and they don't know each other, I was like, let me see what the fuck I do when I sleep. And I recorded myself and my God, I know that's how I know I have trauma. Like, I know that I'm fucked up because I saw myself sleeping and I was like, yo, who are you fighting, yo? Like, who are you? And I talk in my sleep. I talk in my sleep. And I don't even know. I talk another language. I speak Spanish when I'm sleeping. And also a little bit of Japanese. A little bit of Japanese in my sleep.
I know a little bit of Japanese. I took karate when I was 15. But I've been told that I actually talk in my sleep, and I never really, I mean, I didn't ignore it. I just never really put any thought into it until I actually recorded myself one, and I said some really fucking weird shit.
I think it comes from falling asleep.
I was rapping in my sleep.
No way. No way. Really?
I was doing DJ Clay in my fucking sleep, man.
You must have fallen asleep to it. The reason why I think I speak Japanese in my sleep is because I fell asleep to a lot of anime. A lot. It was the only thing that would put me to sleep for a long time. And I read subtitles, so I always watch the original dubbed in Japanese, right? So it's always like, I love to read, I love to learn, and I like to have things in other languages because I'm a language major in college. So I don't want to hear it in English. I want to hear it in its own form, and I'll read what it means, you know?
Right.
I love reading subtitles. I really think that the only reason I was speaking Japanese in my sleep is because I fell asleep to Inuyasha.
Probably. Oh, I love Inuyasha.
But it was all original. It was the original Japanese. Like, yeah, I refuse to watch the English Inuyasha. I refuse to watch.
Back in the day, I only had access to the English one, so that's the only one that I know.
Listen, the only reason that I like the Death Note in English a little bit better is because that was the only access I ever had because I started watching it when it came on Cartoon Network on Toonami way back when. Right. That's the only reason I like that in English is because I saw it in English first. You know? So I can dig it. I can dig it. You probably are like me, like you remember way back when on like Toonami and like Cartoon Network.
Oh yeah, I remember Toonami. That's how
they had all these cool ass Japanese shows, and it was all in English.
Fucking Tenchi in Tokyo and shit, man. Ronin Warriors. Oh, what's another one? Gundam Wing was another one.
I loved Gundam Wing. That's still my shit.
There's one I used to watch all the time. I can't fucking remember the name of it. Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh, Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah. That one, Ronin Warriors, Dragon Ball Z, and Gundam Wing. Those were my fucking shows, man.
Yo, if you were hanging out with me, we would have been up all night just watching cartoons together. I can see it now. Because I'm an only child, so I had to do all this by myself. I wish I knew you like 5-10 years ago.
Hey, you said you got Amazon Prime, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got Amazon Prime over on my Twiggy account. Maybe we could do a watch party sometime.
That'd be great since I'm using my mom's Amazon Prime right now because mine got canceled because it was connected to a PNC bank card that is now canceled as well. Like that checking account disappeared. Okay. So now my mom, well, she said I could use her Amazon Prime, but I was already doing it anyway because I just took all the information. Like, I just stole all her info, like all of it. Like, I'm such a horrible person, but like, don't come for me because I will steal your information. I will take your security number. I'll take your checking account number, your routing number to your bank. I'll get it all, and I'll be hooked up with my own Netflix and Prime on your name.
Oh shit.
But no, she finally told me, like, after the fact, after I already did it, she was like, oh, I'm so sorry, baby girl. That sucks. You should, like, until you make a new account for PNC, like, you can use mine. I was like, thanks.
Right.
Like, I didn't even tell her I already did. Like,
so,
I got Amazon Prime.
For a second, so we got to bring it back in.
No, I was just saying that it's going to be funny if we have a watch party because it's on my mom's account and she's going to be watching probably with us from Jersey. She's gonna love it.
But
She actually watches our show now.
awesome. Shout out
Like
to
all the
Monte.
things. Yeah.
So
Finally, right?
when we're talking about inner demons and stuff like that,
Okay.
I usually find that there are a lot of people who go around. They get along. They act like they're friends, but then they'll turn around and do the exact opposite. And I'm thinking this might have something to do with with these inner demons that we have, because we're so afraid of hurting the other person, and it's almost like we keep these demons caged up because they don't need to, for lack of better terms, be seen.
This is so true.
But nobody understands the fact that if we keep these demons bottled up, then they will only turn into a savage, raging beast. And in X-Men, Wolverine tells Professor Xavier, if you keep the beast caged, the beast gets angry.
Yes, and I was just watching an X-Men marathon last night, so that's kind of perfect.
Then you should know what scene I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, I thought differently actually, Twiggy.
Okay.
I thought that maybe if you keep the beast caged, right? Now I'm talking about a beast like inside me. I think it might be a wolf. I don't know what it is, but we're talking about a beast, an animal, something that's not human, right? Now,
Right.
if you keep that type, like when you say beast, I mean animal. And if you keep an animal caged, maybe what I think is that I go back to cage training my dogs. That's what I think.
Well, we're not talking about cage training. We're not caging out of love here.
Maybe if I cage my inner demon, maybe I can tame it. That's how I believe.
Okay.
I don't think that like, oh, if you cage it, like eventually it's gonna come out.
But think about it like this. You said you're cage training your animals, right?
Right, like my demons, yeah.
Okay. Think about them like dogs.
Right.
You keep a dog in a cage, but you're not doing it because you're training it. You're doing it to keep it under control. It sits in a cage. It sits in a room. It sits somewhere.
It's gonna break out. It's gonna break out.
Right. It will find a way to break out. It will find a way to lash out, and it's always at the most inconvenient moments. When you talk about cage training, you're talking about loving it into being obedient to you. But when you're doing that, you're not just keeping it in a cage. You're also letting it out. You're giving it exercise. You're letting it breathe. You're letting it move around.
Okay, I can see it. You make a good point.
These animals, as you refer to them, they are a part of us, which means they are living. So in order for something to survive, it has to be able to move around. If it stays in one spot, it's going to die.
Yeah. Well, what if we want it to die?
Then you would end up losing a very important part of yourself.
Probably.
You got to think, these traumas, you don't want to necessarily forget them, because if you forget them, you forget why you had them. So you don't want to forget them. You just want to. Like you said, you want to train them. You want to. Okay, this. Yeah,
that's what I want to do. I want to train them.
This is the sadness. This is the anger. You want to get out there. You want to beat the living shit out of something, someone, a tree, a fucking frog, a fly, anything. You just want something to feel the pain that you have inside of you.
Exactly.
That is what Twitch is. That is what your music is. That is what your photography is. That is what the Spider Queen is. Take that Spider Queen and put it in something. That is what the mask is. Every time you see this mask, you see Twiggy Dro.
Yes, this is very true. I ain't seen it nowhere else.
This mask and any mask that I wear represents your hatred. It represents anger. It represents frustration, sadness. It represents gluttony, filth, greed, pride, wrath, envy. It represents all that negativity.
And is it reflected back at me now because it's a mask?
Yes, it is, because I am showing you who you really are on the
Right.
inside.
That's
I
kind
am
of
making
awesome.
you face yourself. I am showing you who you really are. And if you decide that you don't like me because of it, that's going to tell me that you hate yourself. You cannot sit there and tell me you have looked yourself in the mirror and not seen a face like this.
Nah, I can't say that.
Look me
You're
in the
absolutely
eye
right.
and tell me that when you look in the mirror, you see joy, you see pride.
Hell no. Not all the
Every
time.
day. All day,
Every
every
day,
day.
I
Go
see,
on.
when I look in the mirror, I see success by way of self-destroy. Like I destroyed.
Self-destruction.
Yeah, like self-destruction. Yeah, I see like I've succeeded, but only
And
by
there's a reason
destroying
for that.
myself.
And there's a reason for
I see
that. And
success
Red
by
Hot Chili Peppers made a
self-destruction.
point to it.
I love that band.
Destruction leads to a very rough road, but it also breeds creation.
And that's what my mom says that I'm like a queen of, is creativity. My mom loves how creative I am. I never see it. I'm like, I'm not that original, Mom. Like, chill. I'm really not. Like, calm down. For just like 2
Nobody on this
minutes.
planet is original. Anything that you have done, want to do, or going to do has been done 10 times before you. All you're doing is putting your twist on it.
Yeah, putting it in a way that I see it.
Yeah.
Like my perspective.
Exactly.
But she says that my creativity of that perspective is extremely creative and that she's never seen it before.
Some of the go ahead.
Which I like to like make a simile to, like, okay, so you've never seen it before, but my mother's also very mainstream because of who she's related to and connected to. Mm-hmm. She has to be. But because she's so mainstream, I feel like, Mom, like, I know you never seen this before, but if you just studied the underground, it's already been done like way before I was even born. But she doesn't. So to her, I'm brand new. So to her, I'm like ICP to people that follow the Backstreet Boys. You know, they never heard of that shit. So to her, that's what I am. But I'm like, yo, if you were on my level and hang out with the people I hang out with and in the scene that I'm in, you would know that I'm not that big. Right. I'm not that big of a deal.
Right. And some of the most creative people that have made some of the best masterpieces that I've seen, read, or heard come from a traumatic lifestyle.
Yes, Edgar Allan Poe, who I was reading today.
Oh, the Poe Man.
Prime example.
Biggest influence on my music. Hands down.
So he was, oh my God, me too. Like, so he's from Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm only about 45 minutes from Baltimore right now, right? And also I'm doing in class this video poem for Annabelle Lee, but I got to do it all in Spanish. But basically, I'm trying to incorporate like the feeling of his poem in an image, in images. Ooh. And like his poem, Annabelle Lee, is actually from all of his experiences. It's about a girl that dies. It's about how he was in love with a girl. Yeah, he was in love with her, apparently. If you read the whole poem, they were kids. They were children when they were in love. And they grew up at this castle next to the ocean. And they were both like, you know, noble people. So they were very entwined. They didn't expect to fall in love. They didn't expect to fall in love with each other because their marriage was already planned, but they did as children. They fell in love with each other. And then he married her, and then she died because she didn't survive the winter, basically. That was a real thing. Like not being able to make it through the winter, like only the strong survive type shit.
Pretty much.
And she didn't make it through the winter, and she died, and he had a funeral, like a watery ocean grave for her, like a ocean funeral for her. And then he memorialized her and the castle that she was locked up in during her sickness. And I believe it was the Black Plague, which is very coincidental to COVID right now. she was locked up in a tower so that she wouldn't infect anyone else. And he couldn't even go see her to the day that she died. He got to see her after she already passed away. And that's why it was so sad. That's why he created the whole poem, and he memorialized the entire castle, the area, and her in that poem.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like definitely like traumatizing experience definitely create some of the best poetry, some of the best art you've ever seen. And that's a prime example right there.
And that is all those are examples of letting out those inner demons, those beasts, those animals.
Yeah.
I mean, David Draymond, or not David Draymond, John Davis actually goes into it. Whenever he's on stage, he's angry, he's loud, he's fucking furious. But when he's off stage, he's fucking chill as fuck. There's not a damn thing you can say to him that would get to him, because he has no anger. He releases it all on stage.
You know, I know another person like that I met in person was Jelly Roll and Boondocks. They are both also just like that. They're assholes, like they're raw on stage. And as soon as they get off stage, they're like, yo, you trying to smoke a blunt? It was good. Like, they're like so sweet. It's like, who are you? Like, who was that on stage? Because you're not that person anymore. Who was that? And I believe that having these inner demons is what makes music today.
Yeah, it is. Because music is supposed to send a message.
Depending on what that message is.
Oh, I thought you were saying something. I was waiting for you to finish.
I was waiting for you to finish.
Yeah, music is supposed to send a message of, well, pretty much any varying types. It all depends on who you listen to. A lot of the stuff that I listen to is very dark and very angry, but I also listen to a lot of lighter stuff too. Come on, I'm a fan of Britney Spears. Yes, I admit it. I'm all about the Backstreet Boys.
But you still love your fight music.
What's that?
You love your fight music, and basically what I got is you like fight music and you like feel good music.
Yeah. It's a duality, really.
Sounds about right. That sounds about right to me too.
but every artist is expressing themselves because they all have something to say. And Candy, you ain't no different. Nor am I.
But what if what I'm thinking about right now, what if what I have to say has already been said?
You're saying the same thing that everybody has already said. Like I said, anything that you want to do, will do, or going to do has already been done 10 times before you. My backstory is no different than anybody else's. Just a few, minor kinks and twists that are different from everybody else's story, but it's still the same as everyone else's. My dad was a piece of shit, and my mom was all on his fucking dick. You fill in the blanks.
Sounds like Eminem to me.
Okay. It's just a matter of how you express it. Christopher Titus, he grew up with a traumatized childhood, and he's one of the biggest fucking comedians in the history.
Wow, yo, I love George Carlin.
Christopher Titus.
Oh. I don't know how I heard.
Rockwell is Bleeding. It's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, nice. I will definitely check that out. Christopher Titus.
Norman Rockwell is Bleeding.
Norman Rockwell. Wow, that's a name that I know and hate. Do you know why I hate it? Now, everybody loves Norman Rockwell, but honestly, nobody thinks about it from a Black girl's perspective.
Okay, intrigue me.
All right. So Norman Rockwell, he actually, if you Google him, he came out, I think it was the 30s through the 50s. He was the biggest. Okay. Now, do you know what was going on in America with the Black people during that time? Mind you, Norman Rockwell, all his paintings are all of white people, by the way, and it's all of white children, and he's called a nationalist painter because, and this is my art history college kid coming out, he's called a nationalist painter because he painted the American dream, this nationalism, idealism, you know what I mean? He's always, if you look at all his paintings, it's always of a bunch of white family. And I really don't mean to get racist, except that he did it first, so I'm pointing it out. Okay, like it's always a specifically white family, blonde hair, blue eyes, not black hair, not brown hair, not green eyes, not brown eyes. Right. So yeah, and it's always like that white picket fence type of household living that he's painting a picture of. Okay. And he did this during the times that like everyone else that was not white was literally on the streets, like poverty, like slums. Literally everyone was like literally poor. So for him to put these pictures out at the time was extremely controversial. And he was basically, if you ask the black community, Norman Rockwell was basically being like, yeah, this is why white people are better in a picture. Yeah. Yeah, because we can live nice and you can't. Yeah. He was like, hey, we have the right to vote. We have the ability to feed our children. We have the ability to do this, that, and the third. So like as a black woman being taught this from the black community, like there is a strong, like I don't want to say a hatred, but a schism, more like a schism, like a divide. There's a big divide with the black community on Norman Rockwell. Oh yeah. And I used to love him. I thought he was like one of the best artists ever. And like, this is so great that he was able to capture these feelings and put them in a picture. And then I started really looking at like the history of it and why he put these pictures out. And he's even quoted like being a racist.
I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah. Norman Rockwell was one of my favorite artists, actually. He used to be, and you see him in every fucking restaurant and hotel all around the world, right? And for a long time, he was one of my favorite painters until I started taking art history classes. And they teach you this in college, and it's not meant to be a racial thing. It's meant to be it's meant to be like a look at the country and the state of the country that it was in at this time. And he's painting a picture of his family or what he thinks that his or his country looks like at the time, but he's leaving out everyone else. Like, do you know what the Italians were going through during that? They weren't living that lifestyle.
Well, it depends on what part of the country you were, because Chicago had the most corrupt police in the 1920s, and that was because of Al Capone.
Right. No, but I'm saying like the Italians, the Irish, today they are considered white, but when Norman Rockwell was making his paintings, they were not considered white people. Did you know that?
I did. If you were not born in America with white skin during that time, you were not white. Period.
So, actually, what Norman Rockwell was doing, which I didn't understand, was that he was just like, he was basically romanticizing like white superiority. Ooh, I hate saying that, but
superiority of any kind is really inferior.
No, at that point in time. No, not today. Twiggy, not today. But at that time, white superiority was a thing, and that's what he was romanticizing. And that's the only reason why, like, in art history class, they even brought it up, so that you would know. Like, hey, yes, this is a nationalist painting, but it's only a nationalist painting from one perspective of the country. One. And it's messed up. It should be multiple perspectives of the country.
That does make sense. I never really thought about it like that. That's interesting.
Right? So, like, think about it like this. It's basically like if J-Lo, right? Like somebody real big and real rich and real famous was to make a painting right now about how well they're doing during COVID. That's what Norman Rockwell did during the Depression. How fucked up is that?
That makes sense. That's
why I'm like, like Norman Rockwell's a piece of shit right now. Like I used to love him, but now I know better. Now I know better, and now I'm trying to teach others.
No,
I need y'all to know this.
I can kind of sympathize you because I felt the same way about Abraham Lincoln, because I know he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, but I had actually just recently learned that he hung half a tribe of Native Indians.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
So
And he also had slaves.
yes, he did.
You're right. Like, what the fuck? Like, so you freed your slaves? No, he didn't. He freed all the slaves except his.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was the president, so he could do whatever he wanted.
But that's a different
Sound like
episode.
somebody we know? Does it
Yeah, no
sound like
shit.
someone we know?
No shit. But we get into that in another episode. We got to wrap this up.
All right.
Katie, I want to thank you for joining me here. Thank you for anybody that actually does join the 2 comments that we have in the comments. Sorry we did not get to them. I would have actually done so if I paid a little closer attention. Please make sure you guys tune in Tuesday at 6 o'clock for Master Debater for me and Sid. Also, every Thursday, or at least when she's able to, you have the Underground Hustle with Miss Candy right here. And every Friday at 9, we have the Creature Feature Show right here on the Sid Jones Network. Candy, thank you for joining me. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. Thank you for
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for the comments. I am out this motherfucker.
Peace, motherfuckers.
Just give us a minute here, and I will be with you right shortly.